Plastics are magical compounds that are part of virtually all aspects of human life. Like any good thing, we overdo it. Now, we have a big mess that is getting bigger. Some solutions to reduce the damage are available. Spoiler alert, markets won't do it all. Plastics are used in all aspects of human life, from packaging of consumer goods, through medical devices, to making durable polymers for clothes, computers, furniture, auto parts, etc., and so on. The rate of plastic production continues to increase dramatically. If we keep it up, by 2050, there may very well be more plastic in the ocean than fish. The price charged for those plastics typically does not cover cradle-to-grave costs. What is a grave for plastics anyway? It certainly is not when I drop that plastic fork that I used for 3 minutes into a bin on the ground. In preparing for this diary, I came across Plastic Oceans. Here is a trailer for their great film. George Carlin had a bit about how the planet doesn't need to be saved from plastic by arrogant humans. True enough. The Earth doesn't need to be saved. Meanwhile, virtually everything with a mouth or internal digestion is threatened with being poisoned, suffocated, strangled, or starved by our plastic products. We made the problem, so we can help to fix it, arrogant or not. How plastic gets into oceans once produced. Routes of plastics to oceans are now pretty well known. A report from the McKinsey Center for Business and the Environment outlines the following sources. Less than 20% of ocean plastic comes from ocean-based sources. Over 80% comes from land-based sources. Of the land-based sources, 25% leaks from collected sources, while 75% comes from uncollected sources. In that same report, land-based sources are broken into the following categories. Low waste density rural areas that do no of collection services. Medium waste density urban areas lacking waste management infrastructure. High waste density urban areas with overstretched services. Illegal dumping by waste haulers. Dump sites on or near waterways. Jambak et al. 2015 outlined quantitative estimates of ocean plastic and science. It is probably safe to assume that the rates are still increasing. Note that most of the plastic does not enter the ocean. We have problems with plastics on land too. Due to the way plastic distributes in water, and how ocean animals eat, the ocean plastic problem is more immediate. Also note that the situation is not hopeless, mitigation is possible at every step. Who is responsible? We can break down the sources of ocean plastic by country. This does not tell us everything that we need to know. The manufacturers do not include the full life cycle costs of plastics in their products, sharing the blame. Companies are reaching these markets with products packaged in affordable single-use sachets that end up scattered as litter, and ultimately as landfill or marine pollution. Plus, developed nations export plastic. Much of China's plastic waste comes from imported sources. They are banning most of these imports. Will developed nations pick up the slack or look to export our waste elsewhere? So what? Animals eat reduced carbon. Plastic is polymers of reduced carbon. Our waste mimics their food and gets into their guts. Over 90% of seabirds now have plastic in their guts. It's not just birds. Baleen whales ingest large quantities of plastic. And toothed whales are also threatened. Like the turtle at the top, plastic also entangles many marine animals. You can find lots of pictures online. To bring it closer to home, consider that plastics absorb toxins and emit estrogenic compounds, all of which follow the food web up to humans. You are eating plastic and toxins absorbed to the plastic. On top of that, whether it's environmental waste or plastic containers we buy, they all emit estrogenic compounds, even BPA-free containers. What can we do? Individually, we can reduce, reuse and recycle wherever possible. Don't take plastic bags from stores, and let stores and restaurants know that plastic containers and packaging are often unnecessary and unacceptable. Some people are working on the big picture. Here is one that looks familiar to those who went through booming school. It sounds great, but consider the source and distribution of ocean plastic. Booming only gets a small fraction of plastic floating on the surface. The 70 kilograms per square kilometer of plastic on the bottom of the ocean is mostly unreachable, while the microplastic distributed through the water column seems to be impossible to filter out without significant disruption to plankton and fish communities. Given that microbes have been digesting biologically produced carbon polymers for eons, it is not surprising that there is evidence that bacteria can digest plastic in oceans. However, it is not certain how well they do with the myriad types of plastic we produce. Nor do we have any idea of how this might affect ecosystems. We need to prevent plastic from